Everything you love was once a project. The apps you tap, the bridges you cross, the shows you stream. None of them happened by accident. Behind every one of them was a dream, a team, and a project manager trying to hold it all together. I'm Rick Morris, and this is AI Driven PM, the show where project managers stop playing games, embrace reality, and use AI to make dreams come true without burning out their people. Each week, we'll blend real world project war stories with practical ways to put AI to work. How to plan smarter, negotiate better dates, protect your team, and focus on the work that actually moves the needle. If you ever thought there has to be a better way to do this, then you're in the right place. Let's get to work. This is AI Driven PM. Hey, welcome to episode 7 of AI Driven PM, season 2. We're here today to talk about one of my favorite topics to talk about with project managers, and that's really kind of the key skill that we should be developing as project managers. People ask me that all the time. What's the number one skill a PM should really develop over the career? And I've got a single answer for you on that one. It's that of influence. I mean, think about it. When they say, I was told one of the greatest lies ever told in project management, which was you own the project. I was like, I own it. It's like mine. I can make decisions. I can spend things where I need to. I can make adjustments on the fly. And the answer to all of that is no. People don't report to me. It's not my money. I can't spend it however I want to. Probably wasn't even my idea. And I'm not the one that is judging the time frame either. Essentially, I'm just there to take the blame for when the project goes wrong, right? That's what we do as project managers. But I say that in jest, but the reality is that the number one skill set we should be developing is that of influence. And we have to learn how to influence without authority. So how do we actually get things done, right? Right? We don't manage the team. Generally, you have, technology managers or line managers that do that. You don't control the budget, the sponsors do. You don't set the strategy, the executives do. And, but again, when the project fails, they look at us and go, well, why didn't you see that coming? What's happening? So that's why I say influence without authority is the core, PM skill that we've got to develop. So think about it though, right? PMs operate in the influence space between silos. We can't make anybody do anything. We can't, that's one of the other kind of fallacies that happens with project management is that, they feel like project managers are there to guarantee a date and or a budget. And that's actually not our job. Our job is to increase the percentage chance of hitting a date or budget by doing analysis, looking at plans, putting key decisions together, and then trying to influence the outcome with whomever we're speaking with, whether that be the team, the sponsors, the executives, whoever that may be. And we really have three kind of currencies of influence. Now, I'm a huge fan of Cialdini. If you've ever read The Power of Persuasion, which is the science and practice of influence. Now, it feels a lot like sales and marketing, but isn't that what we do? Aren't we like selling a position that we need to move a date or marketing that we want to be able to get this feature in or out or whatever it is that we're trying to influence? It is sales. So understanding the powers of persuasion and Cialdini's factors of influence is really, really important. So go read that book if you haven't yet. But the three currencies of influence I feel like project managers really work in is one is around credibility. So people trust your judgment because you've earned it. You've done things for them in the past and they've seen you, excel and perform. So we have that credibility piece. There's reciprocity, which I think is one of the strongest factors of influence. But you help others achieve their goals. And so they're going to want to help you achieve yours. So if their goal is to like get this piece of technology aligned to make the project better and you help them achieve that, they're going to, deliver for you as well. So reciprocity is a great currency of influence to look at. And then of course, vision is another one, which is you paint a picture of success that makes people want to contribute. So if you go back to episode 1, when we started talking about dream statements and vision clarifiers and those types of things, the reason why I developed those mantras is because I'm painting what success should look like. And when you're doing that, people want to be on board. They want to help out. And so that's all really around influence. And so some of the mistakes that we tend to make when we're trying to influence, an outcome or our sponsors or our team, sometimes we'll over rely on logic. Like we'll just assume like everybody understands there's no way we can make this date. People for sure, see it, and then we take that to a sponsor, and they're like, no, no, we got to make that date no matter what, right? So like we have this over reliance on logic. Sometimes we do positional pleading, right, where this the sponsor said so, or we're using that ancillary kind of influence piece to do that. It's like, well, this is what the CEO wants, so that's why we have to do it. And so sometimes, again, when we're using referential power, that's not real influence, and that doesn't really land as it should sometimes. And then there's always the passive aggressive escalation, right? Well, do I got to go tell the executive that we're not going to be able to do this in time? Like, do I need to be the right? And that, of course, is just an influence killer as well. None of those really kind of move the needle. Um, and so today's focus, what I want to help in talking about AI-driven PM today, is I want you to start to build out what's called an influence network. And you can allow AI to do this. And you can actually, inside of ChatGPT or Claude or any of the ones that you're using, create a project. And in that project, you can start to store key information to help you map influence networks in your project. You could also help it see kind of what was being said, or what was happening either through notes or emails or everything else that it may have access um, to help you analyze where the people are coming from. You can use AI to help create persuasive stakeholder messages, and messages to them. If you've ever read my book Project Management That Works, or one of the people, one of the questions I get asked a lot is like, what was something I learned early on that had a huge impact in my career? And that was DISC. Like, I'm a huge fan of DISC and understanding DISC because there's four different communication types and four different communication styles in order to meet people where they are. And that's what influence is about. So for instance, if it's a high D person, they're bullet point people and they want things quickly. So if I'm going into a long tirade about something, they're going to shut down. That's not manipulation, that's influence. We have to meet people where they are. And I need to understand that that person's a bullet point person, or this person may be a high C, which that high C wants a lot of data and facts, or this person may be a high S, and we need to frame this in ways of why they understand change is coming, or high I's, where we want to make sure that we're establishing like the people side of it and why it's a cool, what's cool about it. So basically I have one message, but I have four different ways to say it in order to meet people where they are. That's crafting, persuasive stakeholder messages. So this isn't any kind of manipulation by any means. It's making sure we get the right information to the right person in the right way so that we could advance whatever the topic is that we need to advance. And so we're going to use AI today to help design influence strategies for some key decisions. So right now I'm going to pause and I'll let Centric Consulting Co. say hi to us. And when we come back, I'm going to have the screens up and we're going to start mapping out our influence network.
In today's economy, leaders are looking for a different kind of consulting partner. A partner that will work with you to understand your culture, technology, and employees. A partner that will develop the solutions you need, not the solutions they know best. For us, it's never been about simply checking a box. Since we were founded in 1999, Centric Consulting has established a reputation for solving its clients' toughest problems by delivering flexible, tailored, cost-efficient solutions, all centered on the right outcomes for each business. It's all part of our mission to deliver an unmatched experience you won't get anywhere else. Centered on what's best for you, Centric is ready to guide you on the journey ahead.
And we are back. And as you can see, I have the screens up. So ChatGPT on the left, Claude on the right. And your non-negotiable experiment for this episode is around influence mapping and strategy. So identify who has influence over a key decision and how to engage them. So I know some of you are probably, running or driving or listening on your way to work, whatever that may be. So if you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to read this prompt. And again, just kind of you're midpoint through, so I don't know how many episodes you've seen. Maybe this is the first one you're catching, but I always try to give context to my AI thinking partner. Then I do Socratic prompting, and then come up with the questions I want there, and then give it its prompt itself. So I'm going to read this to you. You're an organizational influence strategist and stakeholder engagement expert. First, ask me 4 to 5 questions about the decision I need to influence, who's involved, what their interests are, and what resistance I expect. Then provide an influence strategy answering number one, who are the key influencers and decision makers in this situation? So I want you to create an influence map. For each person, what do they care about? What motivates them? And what concerns might they have? Number three, what is each person's current position? Are they supporter, neutral, blocker, and their level of influence? What influence tactics should I use with each person? Credibility, reciprocity, vision, data, and coalition building. And what is my sequencing strategy? So, who do I approach first? And how does that set up the next conversation? And what message framing will resonate the most with each stakeholder type? And the decision I need to influence on this one is my social wishing project needs to cut 3 features from MVP to hit the 6-month launch date. Engineering team is overloaded, velocity is down, and we're at risk of missing the date or burning out the team. The 3 features I want to cut are the AI-powered wish recommendations, the in-app messaging between friends, and fundraising or payment integration. So I'm going to put these in. I've got some other stuff here to cut and paste just when it comes back with their questions that each one's going to ask. And by the way, if you want to see these exact prompts, you can go to pmthatworks.com. That's pmthatworks.com. And all of the episodes are there. And each one of these prompts you can just take and cut and paste from there. So please visit there. You'll be able to see all of that. So here we go. Before I map an influence strategy, I need to clarity on people dynamics. So who formally owns the launch date? And so I've anticipated some of these here. And so I'm just going to cut and paste in here. It may not answer the direct questions, but again, what we're trying to do is get it to ask us questions, and then we go from there. So I love the way Claude asks me questions, because ChatGPT will ask me several questions. I can type it in, it picks it up. Claude actually kind of creates, sometimes we're seeing it about 60-70% of the time that I do Socratic prompting. But it gives me, kind of a checkbox here, like who are the key decision makers? I need executive sponsor, product owner. Really, it's everybody. Let's see what next question comes up. I'm going to go ahead and cut and paste the other information into ChatGPT while Claude is thinking about it. We'll go ahead and let ChatGPT rip, and we'll start to see what it comes back with while Claude comes back. So Claude's thinking. It's been a little bit slow today. But that's okay. It's much faster than doing this all by myself, for sure. I think Claude is stuck, so I'm going to ask it if it is and let it come back. There we go. We got Claude working again. Bring the messages. I think I closed the messages too early. So I'm going to ask for it to bring the messages back. And here we go. All right, see, keep. So I want, I'm just going to cut and paste what I have here as well. And we'll let Claude rip. All right, so ChatGPT says you're not trying to win an argument, you're trying to align incentives around a shared risk. So again, it's helping you frame. Right now, the hidden risk is execution failure, not feature loss. That's fantastic. Really, really good framing there. So the influence map here is high authority, high visibility is your CEO, high influence on scope narratives, my product owner. And here's kind of the strategy it starts to talk about. So first, lock in engineering alignment first. So meet with the engineering manager and the lead engineer privately, turn frustration into structured input, and ask them to quantify current velocity trend over the last 3 sprints, estimated burnout risk, realistic delivery probability with all the features. Your goal is not emotion. Your goal is credible delivery math. Position it this way. I need your help protecting the team and protecting the date. I do not want to turn this into an engineering versus business fight. Again, beautiful. This is This is coaching that I do directly to project managers in all kinds of situations that I'm involved in. So I do a lot of coaching, a lot of work with up and coming project managers. And that sounds like an exact phrase I would sit down and talk to them about. So when I say this is a thinking partner and how excited I get about some of the results that we get from this, it's phenomenal. Um, Here, so it says step two, convert engineering support into risk framing. Step three, pre-align with the product owner. I'm just skipping a little bit forward here. Reframe for the CIO. Here it says the CEO loves AI recommendations. Do not argue about AI quality. Reframe around credibility and buzz. So the message is AI that works poorly at launch damages buzz more than AI arriving 60 days later with real usage data. So the narrative strength would be we launch simple, we prove traction, then we release AI's version 1.1 with real data. And that becomes two marketing moments instead of one risky one. Again, don't know if that's going to work for him, but that's fantastic. What happens though is when you start to utilize this, it begins to learn your sponsors as well, and it'll help you frame. Like if you're not in Disc or any of these others, just by saying, hey, this didn't work, or this the sponsor didn't react to that, it can help you continue to reframe until we find out really what the best spot is. Let's look at Claude here for a second. So he gave me some stakeholder profiles, which is nice. Influence factors by stakeholder. So engineering manager says use reciprocity in data. He owes you clarity. Ask him to put the velocity drop and risk assessment in writing as a formal project status update, not an opinion. Frame it as I need your assessment documented so I can take this to the CEO with evidence and not just my gut. That's a really good one. He gets cover, you get ammunition. Let's see what it says to the CEO. So CEO, use credibility data and pre-built coalition. This is your last conversation, not your first. Walk in with the engineering risk doc, the complexity breakdown, the product owner's alignment, and the marketing director's narrative draft already in hand. Present three options to ship all the features and miss the date, cut scope and hit the date, and extend the timeline by 10 weeks. Let him choose. Do not ask for permission to cut. Ask him which outcome he prefers. This is a perfect example of exactly how I teach it. First of all, I've said, in previous episodes, we don't make decisions. We come up with options and we try to frame them in the right way. I also have been a member of many meetings where, PM just comes in and goes, we're going to miss the date. I'm always like, and here's what you can do about it, right? Like, so having these three options, so we're not assuming that they're going to go for the cut. We're not assuming anything. We're like, hey, we've looked at it all. And when I was talking in episode 1, we started talking about the percentage, the value paradox. What percentage of time do we spend looking backwards versus forwards? This is all forwards value. Right here is exactly what I'm talking about. To be able to have the time to pull this together and to be able to help frame this. Like we're 35 seconds to 2 minutes in to our influence network and already got just invaluable advice on what to do with this project. It even gives us a sequencing strategy. So it says get the engineering manager and lead engineer, right? Then go to the product owner, then go to the marketing director, and then hit the CEO. And then it helps us with message framing by stakeholder type, and it gives us a coalition building principle. So here again, you're not building consensus, you're building a sequence of aligned conversations so that by the time you reach the CEO, the decision feels inevitable rather than contentious. Each conversation should leave the stakeholder feeling heard, not managed, and the goal is that no one walks into the CEO meeting as a surprise voice of opposition. Again, fantastic counsel there. So hopefully you can see by being able to go in and start to map this stuff out. Again, you have this thinking partner that's going to guide you and coach you, but you can also then go, well, I don't like this, I don't like that, and it'll start to course correct. Let's look at the next piece. So the next piece I want to talk about is kind of that stakeholder persuasion, message crafting kind of prompt. So again, I'll give it the persona. So you are a communication strategist specializing in persuasive stakeholder messaging. Ask me 3 to 4 questions about the stakeholder, the message I need to deliver, their priorities, and what objections I expect. Then craft a persuasive message by answering what is the core message in 1 sentence, what framing will resonate most with the stakeholders' priorities, whether it be data, vision, risk mitigation, opportunity, What story or analogy makes the message memorable? What objections will they raise and how do I prompt them? And what ask or call to action do I make? And how do I make it easy for them to say yes? Provide the message in an email or conversation script format. So then I'll give it the stakeholder and situation. I need to convince the executive sponsor to support cutting the AI powered wish recommendation feature from the social wishing MVP. What I know about the sponsor is he loves AI and he sees it as a market differentiator, cares deeply about the launch date, so board meetings in 6 months where he promised a demo, hates hearing we can't do it without options, and responds well to data and competitive positioning. My goal is to get him to agree to launch without AI recommendations with a promise to add them in a post-launch update. The objection I expect is, but AI is our hook. Without it, we're just another bucket list app. Now, normally this should happen in kind of two prompts, right? So I'm going to do the first prompt and then I give it the additional context, but just for speed and trying to make sure that this podcast hits its goal of trying to be 30 minutes or less. That really it's been 35 minutes recently, but here, I'm going to go ahead and do it, but it's going to go here. So here's my Claude's gone right to the CEO. Um, Core message says launching AI recommendations before the user base exists to train them guarantees this feature underperforms at the exact moment it needs to impress the board. That's really good, right? So yeah, we could have AI ready, but we don't have anything ready to kind of launch it with. And so framing is lead with risk, then pivot to opportunity. The CEO responds to data and competitive positioning. So the frame is not we can't build it in time. The frame is launching AI cold is a strategic mistake. And here's what the data says about why. Then close with the opportunity. A post-launch AI reveal gives you two press moments instead of one. Really, really good. So here it came up with an analogy. I want to read this through too. So Netflix did not launch with a recommendation engine. They launched with a catalog. The recommendation engine came after they had enough viewing data to make it work. An AI feature trained on zero user behavior does not differentiate you, but it could embarrass you. This gives the CEO something to repeat in the boardroom. Leaders love a reference story. It makes their decisions sound precise and not reactive, right? So really well done there. ChatGPT asked some questions. It says, do we want to show the board a working product that proves traction or a feature-rich prototype that might miss the stage? Or launching without data-driven AIs like launching a Tesla without autopilot enabled. Another really good analogy there. So again, you'll start to feel whether ChatGPT or Claude or Copilot or any of these other models that are out there, Gemini or whether you're using Siri, any of them, it doesn't matter. You'll find out which one is really speaking kind of your voice and the way you like it. But I thought both of those were really good. Okay, so we're going to go into our third prompt for this episode. So you are a relationship strategist helping PMs build reciprocity and coalition. So remember, reciprocity, I think, is one of the biggest kind of influence levers we can pull. And so we want to be able to utilize that. It says, ask me 3 to 4 questions about the people I need to influence, what they care about, and how I've helped or could help them in the past. Then help provide a reciprocity and coalition strategy answering what have I done or could I do to help each stakeholder achieve their goals? How do I frame my ask as aligned with their interests, not just my project needs? Who are the natural allies I should recruit first to build a coalition? How do I leverage early supporters to create momentum with skeptics? And then what specific conversations should I have this week to build reciprocity and alignment? So the situation here is, again, I need to build the support for cutting the 3 features. I give it key people, and then I ask it, how do I turn these people into a coalition? This is very similar to the first prompt, except that this one, we're just saying, the intent is to build that coalition, right? And so here it's going to, Claude's going to jump right in. So engineering manager, what you've done, I backed their QA resource request. Now what I need to do is go to them first privately and name it directly. I went to bat for you on QA. I need you to go bat for me for the team now by putting the velocity data and risk assessment in writing. Now that one I don't support as much. That one is a little bit too direct for me. And reciprocity, if you're building reciprocity appropriately, people feel compelled to do that. Like I shouldn't have to say, well, I went to bat for you, because it's almost like because I did this for you, now you got to do this for me. while in truth, that's what reciprocity is. We want them to feel compelled to do that, not to remind them, because then the next time we do a favor, they think that we're just trying to bank it. So that was the first one of this episode where I'm like, that's probably not something that I would do. Let's see how ChatGPT went that. It says you back their request for QA that built trust. What they want now is team stability and credibility. You can help them by making sustainable scope the official position, not a quiet concern. So if you carry the political weight, they do not have to. So I like that better, right? So it's basically helping us frame it with knowledge that I did something for them, but we don't have to call it out as directly as Claude did. So hopefully you get the point here, and hopefully you're starting to see where I've been heading, this whole season with using AI as a thinking partner. It's not just, hey, go write this document, go craft this email, take these meeting notes and give me action statements, right? Those are all command. By coaching and utilizing as a thinking partner, you really could start to get some advanced thinking done and advanced framing done to help you influence what matters most, which is protecting the team and making sure that we deliver a fantastic product. So to recap, PMs, we lead through influence, not authority. Your three general currencies that you can use is credibility, reciprocity, and vision. And if you start to map out influence networks, you can then craft messages that resonate and build coalitions that really help you achieve your goals, which is helping them achieve theirs. Your non-negotiable experiment is to use the influence mapping and strategy prompt on a real decision you need to influence this week. Have at least one conversation using this message or strategy that AI helps you design. And here's what I'd like you to notice, right? Does mapping influence networks reveal leverage points that maybe you haven't considered? And then how did the stakeholders respond to messages framed around their priorities or around markers that's going to help them? So that's it for this episode. On the next episode, we're going to talk about kind of the 3 R's, which was talking about resistance, revenge, and resentment, and why change initiatives can fail, and what happens when you start to get involved in the 3 R's and how we can utilize AI to get out of that. So hopefully you've loved this episode, you've liked us, you've subscribed, you've joined the AI-driven PM network, and we will see you again on the next episode. I'm Rick Morris, and this has been AI-driven PM. Keep protecting your people, telling the truth, and making dreams come true.